And the gentleman on the other line told me he was his coffee buddy, that he's known for years and that they used to get together every week, and that he was really concerned about him because he couldn't come see him right now. And all he said, he goes, does he know that I can't come visit?
Let's have a conversation about stories. There is power in your story, power that can positively impact another person in ways you may never know. At Inspired Woman, the stories people share help change lives every day. I'm Marcy Narum, and this is Inspired Woman Conversations.
Welcome, everybody. My guest today is Laurie Huston. She is a family nurse practitioner working for Sanford. Welcome, Laurie.
Hi.
It's great to see you. You look beautiful. And just to put everything on the table, Laurie and I go way back to way back, high school, Garrison Troopers, basketball, riding the bus. But I promise not to dish any dirt about you if you promise not to dish any about me. Good times. So tell me, first of all, Laurie, how are you doing?
It's been interesting. Day by day is what, Sam with their webcasts, their meetings, the administration, they have meetings multiple times a day because everything changes so much. And it's you just have to be flexible and just take it day by day, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And you're not working in the hospital setting. Tell us what you do.
I used to work with the hospitalists and round, and then for the last 5 years, I switched to the outreach department, which is the long-term care facilities. And I love it. Working rehab patients, skilled nursing care, the elderly, all ages, people. We have some nursing homes that are on ventilators, things like that. So I just round every day, Monday through Friday, with in the long-term care facilities.
Can you share anything about the mood, the atmosphere? Are there fears? Are they in good spirits?
Are you referring to the patients? Yeah. Believe it or not, a lot of the clientele are elderly residents. These people are resilient. They have been through, seen, granted this is a unique situation, very stressful, but they've been taking it very well. I tend to ask, not every time I see them, but if they're seeming like I'm wondering if they're a little depressed or a little anxious, or they have a history of depression or anxiety, I'll just come right out and ask them, how are you dealing with all this? And some I wonder, if they even know about the pandemic. So I'm careful about not talking about something that would promote their anxiety or depression. But a lot of them, they watch TV, they have access. So they're very well, aware of what's going on. And overall, I think they're handling it quite well. I think it's the younger generation that is more dramatic about it, actually. So they're handling it quite well.
Probably worried for them, and their family members worried for them, especially if they are very ill.
Oh, definitely. We have end of life care lists that, if someone is declining, we're thinking that it's, becoming terminal or anything like that, that we definitely are keeping in touch. And there's a lot of phone conversations that are going on. I've called more family members since all this has happened than I ever have, because I just think they would appreciate a phone call just to let them know how their family member is doing, because they don't know, they can talk to them on the phone and such, but they just don't know how they're really doing. So it's kind of comforting for that. Sometimes I take pictures if they want, if the patient can consent, and if the family wants, and I've gotten tears, I've gotten, thank you. And things like that. So that brings us joy. And if they're on that end of life care list, they can come in, a family member can come in and, they're screened as well. We'll have to, wear a mask and such, but they can come in and be with them, at the dying process and things like that. So that's good.
So they aren't dying alone. They have to have somebody there.
Usually, I mean, if they've got family, if not, the staff is really good about taking care of them as well.
Yeah. How else are you helping the patients stay connected to family or friends that maybe would usually take them out or come and visit them?
One instance that sticks out in my mind is at one of my facilities. I was just meeting a patient, and he was in his 90s, hospice patient. And he's got metastatic cancer, and pretty spry yet for in the 90s. And I was kind of shocked when I walked into the room. He had some headphones on that were hooked to an iPad, and it was so loud I could hear it, through his headphones. And when I came in, he took them off, and we were, talking and introducing myself and asking him how he was doing and such. And as we were visiting, his portable phone that was on his bedside table started ringing. And so I picked it up, and I could barely hear the guy on the other end. So I thought, he's going to have quite a bit of trouble here. So I was we were having a lot of difficulty. He couldn't hear him. The gentleman, I was finally just saying word for word back, communicating it back and forth to each of them, but that wasn't going so great either. And the gentleman on the other line told me he was his coffee buddy, that he's known for years, and that they used to get together every week, and that he was really concerned about him because he couldn't come see him right now. And all he said, he goes, "Does he know that I can't come visit?" Oh. And so I thought, I'm going to try to help them out. Sorry. I'm going to try to help them out a little bit here. So I told him the number, and he had an iPhone, the elderly gentleman on the phone, which I was just, I was floored that they were willing to try this. So I got it all set up. They connected, and the gentleman in the bed, my resident, didn't know which one was him, and it was cute because I had to point, you're over here, and all. But they hooked up, and you should have heard them talking. I mean, it was the most rewarding thing. And when I left, I just felt like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Thank you for sharing that. That's a great story. I'm fighting tears here.
I know. I told you I wasn't going to do this.
Are there any other situations, stories like that come to mind that are rewarding and make this difficult time worth it,
Well, like I said, they're very resilient. The nursing home staff has gone over and beyond, in my opinion. There's different ones that we go to between Bismarck and Mandan, and other, one rural area as well. But when I come into the rooms, I've witnessed aides in the room with the patient playing checkers or card games with them, keeping, their distance like they should as much as they can. When they play bingo, they just put them in smaller groups and do it on the units instead of having them all congregate into one area. They've added extra staff to help feed the patients individually in their rooms, because they don't let them congregate, in big groups.
Sure.
They're all very good about the distancing and the contact, basically the isolation, of that, to decrease the exposure risk. But they've really went over and above and beyond to try to keep life normal for these patients that are in there, that, and the confused ones too, that with dementia, that don't understand why their family members aren't coming to visit anymore.
Right.
And that's tough, but they try to keep them active, keep them involved in things, and they've done an excellent job.
Probably the bubbliest, most optimistic, fun person that I know. I've always said you're one of my favorite people ever. So it stands to reason that you would have this great outlook on all of it. This is also when students would be graduating from college, nursing students, and maybe some high school students who would be graduating and possibly thinking about a career in nursing. Do you have any words of advice or encouragement for them?
Oh, sure. I think there's a lot of fear, and rightfully so. I think we go into this knowing that there's a lot of these risks, but this has just been really forefront, but I just tell them, find your passion, find what you want in life. If this is what makes you tick, just go for it. It's rewarding. There are days where you don't feel like it's very rewarding, but like I said, just instances like, the elderly gentleman getting them that just made my whole day. And it was like, you're not only helping them, you're helping yourself, and if you, I tell people, if you feel sad, depressed, anxious, do something nice for someone, volunteer somewhere, donate something. It's really self-fulfilling. So, and I don't think I think it's a great profession. There's so many areas you can go into. And like I said, I've never been sorry for going into what I am doing now, and I love it. So to that, this inspirational speaker that I was going to bring up, his name is Dr. Rick Rigsby, Rigsby. He's has a PhD in communications through the University of Oregon, and I ran across it through one of my Facebook friends had posted it, and she's a homeopathic practitioner, and she's actually from our hometown as well. And she had posted it, and I've watched it. I don't know how many times. It's a 10-minute inspirational video, and I think you're going to put the link in.
Yeah, we'll share it.
Okay, and it talks about book. It's lessons. Oh, what was it again? Lessons from a third grade dropout. He talks about his dad as a third grade dropout, and he was the most influential person on him. And it talks about how life can be enhanced. It actually his video talks about don't judge. Always be kind. Make your servant's towel huge and used greatly. And if you do something, do it right and do it for the right reasons. And he wrote that book about his dad, and that book talks about how life can be enhanced, how corporate culture can be changed, and how a family can be united more. So I just thought that was really inspirational and kind of, applicable to what's going on now, and it's just a very scary time for everybody, but watching something like that. And one thing he says in his in that video is, every day ask yourself how you living. And I do that every day.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you shared that, and we'll definitely post that along with this segment of Inspired Women Conversations. Laurie, I just appreciate you so much. Thank you for taking time to do this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Stay well.
You too. Thank you.
Keep up with all the Inspired Woman Conversations at inspiredwomanonline.com. Subscribe to the Inspired Woman YouTube channel, or follow us on Facebook at Inspired Woman, and on Instagram and Instagram TV at Inspired Woman by Marcy. We'll see you next time for another Inspired Woman Conversation.